Good evening. What's going on? Jimmy Cosenza here in Chicago. Hope everybody's having a good week. Kicking back, watching the NBA Finals. I think the Pacers are going to win tonight, and probably Oklahoma will win the NBA Finals. What do you guys think? Chicago Cubs, first place Chicago Cubs, one of the best teams in the league right now. But it's still early. We got a lot of baseball left. Today, June 19th, marks the 50-year anniversary, if you will, of the brutal assassination of Sam Giancana. Sam Giancana, his parents were from Italy. He was born and raised in the city of Chicago in 1908. This man here goes back to the Al Capone days. He was part of the notorious 42 gang. And an infamous boss of the Chicago outfit. When he was given the reins to take over the Chicago mob by Paul Ricca, Tony Accardo, he was told to keep his head down, to fly low under the radar. Same speech they gave Tony Spilotro. Sam Giancana did not listen. Sam had a lot of powerful friends, right? One of his good friends, an associate, an ally of his, was a very powerful, highly connected, super wealthy Jewish gangster. This man here made millions of money with the Chicago outfit. Very close with Sam Giancana. Another good friend of Sam Giancana was this guy, Dick Kane. But Dick Kane was a double agent. Why he was associated with organized crime, Chicago mob, and other crime families right under Sam Giancana's control. Dick Kane was also a government informant. As we all know, that's a very dangerous lifestyle to live. It's like a double razor sword. Eventually, they found out about Dick Kane. We all know the story right there in my neighborhood on Grand and May. That's an actual crime scene photo on the left there. That's right across the street from Diamato's Bakery and the old Survivor Social Club. But two masked gunmen walked in, announced a stick-up, lined everybody up. One of the gunmen walked up to Dick Kane and blew his head off. New York style. Up front in your face, Cosa Nostra. Shotguns, ski masks, walkie-talkies, lookouts, wheelmen. Lead shooters could have been Harry Allman. Some say Marshall Cafone. Some say Joe Lombardo. But that was a brutal murder of Dick Kane. And that's what happened to just one of Sam Giancana's friends. Another close guy and powerful guy and wealthy guy and big shot back in the day was Johnny Roselli. We all know what happened to him. He got involved in the CIA plot to kill Fidel Castro. He was also involved with Carlos Marcello, possibly involved in the Kennedy assassination. This guy had his hands in a lot of things. Also got involved with a lot of those people in Hollywood, which, as we all know, brings a lot of heat, brings a lot of attention. Eventually, he was killed. His body was found in a barrel in Key Biscayne, Florida, right there in the beautiful Atlantic Ocean. So now that's the second close friend of Sam Giancana. Johnny Roselli. Now, while Sam Giancana was locked up years ago, he met a black guy who ran the numbers on the south side of Chicago, raking in millions of dollars, kind of like the illegal street lottery, if you will. When Giancana was released from prison, he sat down with Tony Accardo and said that he wanted to take over the numbers racket, the street lottery. And that's exactly what he did. Sam Giancana obviously had to kill a couple of the leaders of the black gangs, and he took over the number rackets, making millions of dollars back then. As Sam Giancana rose through the ranks, rose to the top of the Chicago outfit, he started getting a lot of attention, a lot of media attention, a lot of attention by the FBI agents, local police. I mean, guys like Bill Romer and other agents were on his ass with 24-hour surveillance, making him very paranoid, getting under his skin. He had a lot of clashes, a lot of shouting matches with FBI agents, reporters, people from the media. Meanwhile, all this is going on, and men like Tony Accardo, Joey Aiuppa, Jack Sabrone, this is the last thing that they wanted, right? Fast forward, Giancana lands at Chicago O'Hare Airport. They pinch him at the airport. He got arrested for contempt of court by yelling, screaming, making a big deal, threatening the agents. He ended up spending a year in the notorious Cook County Jail. Now, the Cook County Jail right there in 26 in California at one time was one of the largest, most violent, most corrupt, most dangerous county jails in the country. Right up there with Rikers Island and LA County Jail. It was originally designed to house 10,000 inmates. At one time, they had over 13,000. 3 people to a cell. They had inmates sleeping on the floors. Some of the guards are just as bad as the inmates. But Sam Giancana spent a year here. Sam Giancana allegedly, along with his friends, maybe Dick Kane, maybe Roselli, they were in an alleged plot to kill Fidel Castro. They had several failed attempts on his life. And that's one thing you got to say about this guy. He outlived them all. He never ended up in prison, and none of his enemies ever got a chance to kill him. But Sam Giancana was given the green light, allegedly by the CIA or the government, to take out Fidel Castro. That's how powerful Sam Giancana and the Chicago outfit were back in the day. Now, getting back to Sam Giancana not listening to Tony Accardo and Rica, he became good friends with all the top entertainers, actors, producers, and the rest of those assholes in Hollywood. And that's the last thing the Chicago outfit wanted or needed. Sam Giancana turned the Chicago outfit into kind of like like it was a movie, like it was a Hollywood movie. He was also a ladies' man, right? Now, he definitely wasn't the most handsome guy. I think he was kind of a small frame guy. But as we all know, he had a love affair with the beautiful Marilyn Monroe. Now, some people think that Chicago outfit actually had Marilyn Monroe killed. I'm not sure if Sam Giancana gave that order, but some people think that Frankie Schweiss, maybe Tony Spilotro, or somebody else got into her home and gave her a lethal shot. Not a shot with a gun, but putting her to sleep. She never woke up, and they made it look like a suicide. She had a black book, and she was going to spill the tea on everybody, all the crooked politicians, all the Kennedys, and all the outfit guys. But Sam Giancana, I'm not sure if he was behind her murder, but he definitely was had an affair with her. Same thing with the McGuire sisters. Phyllis McGuire, I know he probably fucked all three of them. Who knows? But again, some of these women, they like wise guys. They like mob guys. So anyways, he is released from the Cook County Jail. And he takes off and heads down to Mexico. This was, I think, in 1974. And while he was down there, he wasn't behaving himself. Really wasn't keeping a low profile. He started gambling, making a lot of money, and wasn't kicking it back to the Chicago outfit. That alone will get him clipped. That's just one reason Sam Giancana was murdered. Now, I forgot to mention Sam Giancana was a family man. You know, he wasn't that bad of a guy. He had a beautiful wife, 3 beautiful daughters. And shortly before he was going to be called to testify in front of the grand jury, he was at his home in Oak Park. You could still go past this house today in Oak Park. I'm going to go by here and do a little TikTok video on it now that the weather's warmer. And going back, June 19th, 1975. Where were you? Were you alive in 1975? Right before the bicentennial year. I was 10 years old. But 50 years ago, Sam Giancana, I think, was in the kitchen basement cooking one of my favorite dishes, Italian peppers and sausage, for obviously a friend. He was expecting company. Now, obviously, he was expecting company that night, somebody he trusted. So as he lets a friend in, turns his back to attend to the stove, somebody put multiple gunshots into Sam Giancana's head. Brutal assassination. And I think one of them was under the chin. Definitely to send a message. Sam Giancana was murdered in his home in Oak Park 50 years ago, June 19th, 1975. His houseman, caretaker, found him. It's interesting because that night, the police in Oak Park and some of the agents that had him under surveillance all left. They left his house for a short while, and during that time, he was murdered. Now, interesting thing I learned at the Family Secrets Trial, according to Nick Calabrese, the gun used in the murder of Sam Giancana, Nick Calabrese testified that his brother Frank Calabrese and Ronnie Jarrett modified the gun. They put on suppressors or silencers. They modified that gun in Ronnie Jarrett's mother-in-law's garage. That was kind of like a stash house for the 26th Street crew, one of many. That's where they stored guns. That's where they made devices, worked on some of the work cars, stolen jewelry. You would not believe all the things that went on in that garage. But according to Nick Calabrese's testimony, it was Angela Petria gave a task to Frank Calabrese and Ronnie Jarrett to add suppressors to this gun. And this gun was given to the killer and whoever shot Sam Giancana. Who do you guys think Sam Giancana? Right? One of over 1,000 unsolved murders by the Chicago mob. Now, here's his daughter. I remember seeing her in 2007 at the Family Secrets trial. Antoinette Giancana. Hopefully she's doing well. Beautiful woman. You can tell by the photo. But she believes, and she's been saying this for years, that it was the CIA. That was the government. Same people that killed Kennedy. She believed it was CIA that killed Sam Giancana. Some people think it was Tony Spilotro. Tony Spilotro and Sam Giancana were very, very close. It was Sam Giancana that tutored, schooled, mentored, and kind of put Tony Spilotro on the map. A lot of people forget about that. And it was Sam Giancana. It was his idea to send Tony Spilotro out west. Obviously, Tony Accardo, IUPA had a say-so in that as well. But that was Giancana's idea. We all know that was a horrible idea to send a young Tony Spilotro out to Las Vegas. I don't personally think Tony Spilotro killed him, but some people do. What do you guys think? Now, more likely than not, the man closest to Sam Giancana was Butchie Blassie, right? His chauffeur, wheelman, bodyguard, associate of Chicago outfit. Giancana had other bodyguards and wheelman, but Butchie was his go-to guy, if you will. Some people swear that it was Butchie because Butchie was one of the last persons seen with Sam Giancana. And then just recently, it just came out. I'm going to show you a little clip of that. Now, after the Family Secrets trial, I think it was Nick Calabrese, made member of the Chicago outfit, became an informant, testified against his own brother and the rest of the Chicago outfit guys. Nicky Calabrese told Kurt Calabrese, his nephew, who was very close with, that it was Tony Accardo himself that took out Sam Giancana. Now, some people don't believe that because Tony Accardo had to be like 69, 70 years old. Kurt made the mistake of telling that secret to his brother Frank. And what does Frankie Calabrese Jr. do? Typical rat move. He goes public with it, pissing off his younger brother Kurt. But again, Fecker or Nicky Calabrese definitely wasn't there. This is more hearsay from Nick Calabrese. Some of it is credible. Some of it I have to question. But Chuck Gowdy, an investigative reporter, along with some retired FBI agents, based on their research, they believe it was Tony Accardo that pumped 6-7 shots into Sam Giancana. What do you guys think? Sam Giancana passed away. Sam Giancana, Momo, infamous boss of the Chicago mob, one of the most powerful crime families in the country, assassinated in his own home, June 19th, 50 years ago, 1975. He was laid to rest where a lot of the other mobsters are at Mount Carmel Cemetery. If you guys ever go to that cemetery or the other one, it's filled with bosses, made members, and associates of the Chicago mob. Definitely what you would call a mobbed up cemetery. What do you guys think? Who do you think killed Sam Giancana? Do you think it was Butchie? Do you think it was the CIA? You think it was Tony Spilotro? Or you think it could have been Tony Accardo himself? Tony Accardo himself or somebody else? I'm going to play a little clip for you. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Share my screen. Here we go.
Stephen Ellison, for 5 decades, since late spring 1975, who killed Momo has been one of Chicago's most nagging crime questions. The identity of Sam Giancana's murderer, long considered the last family secret. Tonight, NBC5 investigates the outfit's greatest hit and why authorities believe they unmasked Giancana's killer long ago.
Love will keep us together.
50 years ago, Captain and Tennille had the #1 song. Arnold Palmer was in the hunt for the U.S. Open at Medina, June 19, 1975. It was unusually hot and sticky, and before 11 p.m., under a moonlit sky, Chicago mob magnate Sam Giancana had just allowed a guest into the basement kitchen of his Oak Park home. As Giancana fried up a late-night sausage snack, the visitor shot him several times in the head, Giancana dead on the floor. Does the FBI still consider that case to be open?
Absolutely. We are always seeking for information from the public so we can follow up.
Here at Oak Park Police Headquarters, file number 7507161 is not public because the Giancana case is still officially unsolved. A spent .22 shell casing still in the police file, as is this silencer-equipped murder weapon. NBC Chicago tonight has obtained copies of police records from an outside source that reveal the gun was purchased here in South Florida, among 2 pistols bought at the same time at this Miami gun shop. One handgun used to execute a Milwaukee mobster, and the other used on Chicago outfit icon Sam Giancana.
That's an open investigation, so I can't talk to the details of that case.
In your mind, though, do you believe that the Bureau knows how that happened?
No.
I was born into the Chicago Mafia.
But the case is considered closed, according to federal witness Frank Calabrese Jr., who says the killer has been known for decades, supported by FBI reports stating the individual believed to have been responsible for the murder of Giancana is also deceased. The Chicago mob defector speaks about his former life in the outfit to packed rooms daily here at the Mob Museum in Las Vegas, a place where Sam Giancana's mug has a prominent position, from an era when he and the Chicago outfit controlled many Vegas casinos.
A lot of these mob mysteries that we'll probably never solve, and the Giancana one is definitely near the top of the list.
Calabrese tonight says there is no mystery. His Chicago mob boss father, Frank Sr., and Chicago hitman Uncle Nick provided the answer to who killed Momo Giancana that late spring night 50 years ago.
My information that I got from my dad verbally was that Tony Accardo killed Sam Giancana.
Tony Accardo, a.k.a. Anthony Accardo, nicknamed JB or Joe Batters for his fondness of baseball bat beatings. Nobody outranked 66-year-old Accardo in the Chicago outfit back then. Sending a mob legend such as Giancana to the hereafter would have required Accardo's personal approval. But Giancana was actually killed by Accardo, according to mob hitman Nick Calabrese in this FBI interview newly obtained by NBC5 Investigates that concludes Accardo, nicknamed JB, was involved in the homicide of Giancana and cites one mob boss as saying, "You're never too old to work like JB." But there's more. The Momo murder weapon was found right here in this roadside wooded area located directly between the Giancana house in Oak Park and the Accardo home in River Forest. The FBI had Accardo's house under surveillance in 1975. These records documenting comings and goings reveal that one of Accardo's cars left before Giancana was killed and returned home afterward.
He goes alone to Sam's house, and they're going to talk about the upcoming Senate hearing commission.
I decline to answer on.
Mob watchers suggest Accardo, Al Capone's one-time bodyguard and driver, was concerned that Giancana was a loose cannon and might spill mob secrets to the U.S. Senate committee that had summoned him.
Sam was the one that could really get Tony in a lot of trouble.
30 years after Giancana was murdered, Calabrese and his assassin uncle Nick became government witnesses in Operation Family Secrets. Based on their information, prosecutors publicly cleared 18 outfit murders here and convicted more than a dozen major mob figures. But tonight, NBC5 Investigates has been told by 4 top federal investigators who worked on the landmark case that the government actually solved 30 mob killings, including Giancana's. The law enforcement consensus, they say, Tony Accardo killed Giancana. These FBI records state that Giancana's killer will never be prosecuted because he is dead. Anthony Accardo died of natural causes in 1992. He was 86 years old. Here in West Suburban Hillside, Tony Accardo and Sam Giancana's final resting places. Momo's mausoleum as large as he tried to live, and not far off, Accardo's understated tomb, where the big tuna took a tail to the crypt, a secret that lasted 50 years. Bottom line, Tony Accardo had means, motive, and opportunity. His murderous means all the way back to the St. Valentine's Day massacre in 1929. Accardo's motive, a lifelong grudge against Giancana and fear Giancana could land him in prison. And Accardo had opportunity, one of the few people who could knock on Giancana's door and have it opened.
Means, motive, and opportunity. What do you guys think after seeing that? Do you really think Tony Accardo, one of the most powerful bosses in organized crime, at 69, 70 years old, killed Sam Giancana? Interesting. If you guys like my Chicago mob trial story, hit the like button, subscribe, share with your friends. And keep this in mind, when guys like Nick Calabrese decide to flip, cooperate, and testify, Nicky Calabrese just didn't testify to 14 murders he participated in. He gave the government information on 30 plus unsolved outfit murders, plus a laundry list from A to Z on every Chicago outfit made member and associate, past and current activities. Now, coming up, I'm working on a show. I'm going to do like my top 10 mistakes, 10 major mistakes that led to the Chicago outfit's downfall. If you guys like my Chicago mob trial stories, please hit the like button, subscribe, share with your friends. I'm going to do a couple lives, and I'm actually going to invite you. You send me an email, I click on the link, and you can join in live, kind of like a web meeting. Now, I'm working on some interviews, but they're hard to set up. I want to get Ronnie Jarrett Jr. on here to talk about his father, who was killed by the Chicago outfit, a loyal guy, a guy that did time in jail. I'd like to get Kirk Calabrese on here to talk about Nick Calabrese and their close relationships. Most of us already know about Nick Calabrese, but I want to hear from Kurt the other side of Nick Calabrese, maybe the better side, the good side, if you will. I'm also thinking about getting my friend Paulie C to come on and talk about what it was like being locked up in the MCC. So stay tuned. I got a lot more content coming from you guys. I appreciate your support. Everybody have a good week. And for you haters, put down the cigarette and take the old lady to bingo. Ciao.